The movie begins in 1978 at Walter's house, who is a U.S. Navy officer. We see two girls selling cookies for Christmas, and they knock on the door. Fancy, Walter's wife, opens the door and talks to the girls, giving them money and saying she really likes the idea. She takes 2 boxes of cookies and tells one of the girls that she's the prettiest girl she's ever seen, but her way of speaking is a bit strange. We jump to 1988, where Walter has left his job in the Navy after his team died in their last mission, leaving him psychologically troubled. One day, Walter hears a strange noise in the house. He grabs his gun and quickly goes downstairs to check it out. When he gets downstairs, he finds a thief in the house. As soon as the thief sees Walter, he pushes him and tries to escape, but Walter shoots him and kills him before he can get out of the house. The thief falls onto the fence, breaking it. After that, Walter takes the thief's body and buries it before anyone sees him, leaving the broken fence as it is. In the morning, we see Buddy, who is sitting with his wife Lisa and their daughter. We learn that he works as a sales representative for a small company, and is trying to find a better job to cover the household expenses. Lisa asks him to let her work to help out, but he asks her to focus on the home and their daughter. Later, Buddy tells Lisa that someone asked him to fix a fence at a villa, and he agreed to go fix it, promising to return after finishing the job. He asks her to stay home because there's news of a strong storm hitting the city soon. Buddy arrives at Walter's house and meets him. Walter tells him that he's the one there to fix the fence. Walter asks how much it will cost and how long it will take. Buddy replies that it will take at least 2 days and will cost $200. However, Walter offers him $300 on the condition that he finishes the fence before the storm, and Buddy agrees. He goes to start working, and Walter goes back inside to sit on his chair, wearing his glasses. At that moment, Fancy comes down and tries to talk to him, but he doesn't respond. When she gets closer, she realizes he's asleep, so she gets annoyed and slaps him, accusing him of being a drunkard who will never do anything useful. Walter gets angry and warns her that if she talks to him like that again, he'll kill her, saying this is the last time he'll warn her. He leaves her and goes down to the living room to continue drinking. We see Fancy drinking as well, holding a creepy-looking doll. She looks outside and notices Buddy working on the fence, so she goes down to talk to him, holding a glass in her hand. She offers him a drink, and he thanks her and takes it. When she asks how much longer he needs to finish, he tells her he's almost done and will leave before the storm hits. He hands her back the glass and she leaves to go back inside. Buddy is quite taken with her and keeps looking at her as she walks away, accidentally hitting his hand with the hammer. Fancy notices this, so she quickly comes back to check on him and tells him he's hurt and needs to clean the wound. He agrees, and she takes him inside. While she's cleaning his wound, she keeps staring at him, revealing that she's also attracted to him. At that moment, Walter comes in and sees them, but Buddy explains that he got hurt and Fancy was just helping him. Walter leaves and Buddy goes back to finishing the fence before the storm. Walter notices what Fancy is doing and warns her not to get close to Buddy again, but she ignores his warning and leaves. Walter takes a seat and continues drinking, then grabs some bottles of liquor and takes them to Buddy, putting them on the fence. Buddy doesn't understand what Walter is doing because he's focused on finishing his work to earn some money. Walter goes up to the roof with a gun and shoots at the bottles, startling Buddy when he hears the gunshots. Buddy realizes that Walter is bothering him because of his conversation with Fancy, but he has to keep working because he needs the cash. The rain begins, and the storm starts to pick up. Buddy takes his tools and goes inside to Walter, asking for payment. Walter tells him he hasn't finished yet. Buddy responds that he can't work because of the storm and informs Walter that he'll come back in 2 days to finish. Walter agrees to let Buddy finish the job after the storm, but only gives him half of the money, saying he'll get the rest when he completes the work. Buddy takes the money and quickly leaves to return home, but the rain is heavy. When he gets in his car, he finds that it won't start, so he goes back and asks Walter if he can spend the night. Walter agrees, and Buddy asks to use the phone to check on his wife. He calls Lisa and tells her he finished work, but his car broke down, and he won't be able to come home. After that, Bodhi sits with Walter and his wife, who has prepared dinner for them. They continue to talk about their relationships, and Bodhi seems annoyed by Walter's questions. Vancy gets up and leaves them alone. At this moment, Walter tells Bodhi that he knows Bodhi is attracted to his wife, and Bodhi doesn't know how to respond, feeling embarrassed and trying to change the subject. Vancy returns with something to drink, but Walter gets up and goes back to sleep in his chair, leaving them alone. Meanwhile, Vancy takes Bodhi to explore the house, and Bodhi notices there's a storage room with a locked door. When he asks Vancy what's in the storage room and asks to go down, she tells him that he won't like it. Bodhi feels that something is strange about the storage room, but Vancy tries to hide it from him. He doesn't care and continues to look around the house until they reach the bedroom. Vancy changes her clothes and tries to get closer to Bodhi, but he refuses, scared of Walter. At that moment, Walter is standing by Vancy's room trying to listen to them, but he doesn't hear anything, so he goes back to sleep. Bodhi leaves the room to go sleep on the couch. After a while, he wakes up startled by the sound of the storm and gets even more frightened when he sees Walter sitting next to the couch. Walter asks Bodhi to go up to his room because he wants to talk to him, and Bodhi agrees. Walter tells him that he was a Navy officer and was injured before his team went on a dangerous mission, so he didn't go with them. After that, he found out that his entire team died on that mission, and since then he has had psychological issues because he loved his team very much and wished he could have been with them. Then Walter tells Bodhi that he hates Vancy, his wife, and that their relationship isn't good. He confesses that he has thought about killing her many times, but he can't do it because he is afraid of her. At that moment, he asks Bodhi to be the one to do the job and kill Vancy, and in exchange, he will give him $20,000. He tells Bodhi that he's not good enough to live a better life than the one he has. When Bodhi asks him why he wants to kill her, he says that Vancy is sick with cancer and that the doctors told him there's no hope for her recovery, and he wants to kill her because he feels sorry for her suffering from the illness. At this point, Bodhi thinks about what he said and agrees. Walter goes out and brings a bottle of poison, telling him he will put a little of the poison on a handkerchief, and then write her name so it looks like she died naturally because of her cancer, which could cause her to die at any time. Bodhi goes to find Vancy, who he finds in the bathroom. When she realizes he is there, she starts talking to him about his wife, daughter, and father. He tells her that his father was in prison because he was an addict and that his mother died when he was a small child, so he has been living alone until he met his wife, Lisa. During this time, they find out that she is attracted to him because he is an ambitious person with goals in life, and Bodhi tells her that he is also attracted to her. After that, Vancy notices the bottle Bodhi has, and when she asks about it, he tells her it's a bottle of poison that Walter gave him to kill her with because she is sick with cancer. But Vancy tells him he is lying and that he is trying to kill her because he is jealous of her, especially after he found out she is attracted to Bodhi. Vancy decides to take revenge on Walter, so she goes to his room where Walter is fixing the window. Vancy talks to him and asks him to go back to the way things were before and to fix their relationship, but Walter ignores her and continues working on the window. Vancy gets angry, grabs a knife, and stabs him in the hand. Walter gets very angry and hits her, causing her to faint and fall to the ground. When he regains consciousness, Walter threatens Buddy that he will kill him if he doesn't carry out what they agreed upon. Buddy tries to calm him down, but Walter tells him this is the last warning. Buddy pulls out the poison from his pocket, puts it in a tissue, and approaches Vancy. But suddenly, Buddy attacks Walter, and the gun falls from him. He starts hitting Walter until he falls to the ground. They wrestle on the floor, then they tie Walter to the stairs. After that, Buddy takes Walter's car keys to return home, but they threaten him that they will kill him and his entire family. At that moment, Vancy regains consciousness and asks Buddy to take her to live with him. She thanks him for refusing to listen to that crazy Walter and tells him that she warned him to take any weapon he saw with Walter. Buddy takes a gun from Walter's stash to defend himself. Meanwhile, Walter arrives in the room to get a weapon to kill Buddy, but Buddy, as soon as he sees him, fires at him, but the gun is empty, so Buddy quickly leaves and attacks Walter, continuing to hit him. Then Buddy takes a bottle and hits Walter on the back. Walter tries to pull the bottle from his back, but he can't. Buddy attacks him and hits him, then throws him to the lower floor. Buddy runs quickly toward the door to escape the house before anything happens. But just before the door opens, Fancy attacks Buddy and hits him on the head, causing him to fall to the ground and lose consciousness. When Buddy regains consciousness, he finds himself in a car next to the body of the young man who was in Fancy's house. After that, the police arrive and arrest Buddy on suspicion of killing the young man. Buddy goes to the police station, where he tells the investigator everything that happened to him and what he saw in Walter's house. He tells him that there's a storeroom filled with many children and that the young man in the car was in Walter's storage, was very sick, and was hanging there. Buddy was trying to help him and the other kids. They also learn that the young man's hand had a piece of fabric with strange symbols written in Chinese. We see the investigator mocking Buddy, telling him he knows he's trying to deny the crime he committed. He asks Buddy to save himself the trouble and confess, and he informs him that someone has requested to visit him. His wife, Lisa, enters, saying the investigator told her everything that happened and that he also informed her about his relationship with Fancy and that he committed murder. She asks him to stay away from her and their daughter, stating she doesn't want to see him again, whether he's imprisoned or acquitted. At that moment, the investigator stands with his assistant, who tells him that after investigating Fancy and Walter, it turned out that Buddy might be telling the truth because a girl disappeared 10 years ago in the same place they live, and that girl was wearing a red dress with Chinese symbols written on it. Here, the investigator asks his assistant to go to Walter's house and search it to verify Buddy's claims. The assistant goes with her team to Walter's house to search it. When they arrive, she leaves one of her team to watch Walter and his wife and asks them to go down to the storeroom to search it. Walter agrees, and they go down to the storeroom. When they search it, they find many dolls in the place, which smells bad and looks terrifying. The investigator finds the little girl who was missing, confirming Buddy's statements. Meanwhile, Walter is trying to escape from the house. He hits the officer and manages to escape from the house, while the police arrest Fancy and take her to the station to interrogate her. The investigator releases Buddy from jail after confirming his innocence. But Buddy is very sad because he can't go back to his wife and daughter, and remains living alone for a long time. One day, Buddy is sitting alone when he hears gunshots. When he looks out the window, he quickly runs into the street and finds Walter has kidnapped his wife, Lisa, and their daughter. Walter says to him, "Didn't I tell you I'd kill you and your whole family?" Buddy notices that the police are present in the area, so he tries to delay Walter. When Walter attempts to attack him, he fires at him, saying he'll let his wife go only on the condition that he surrenders. As soon as the police arrive at the scene, Walter lets Lisa go to capture Buddy. He asks the investigator to release his wife, but the investigator tells Walter that Fancy is being treated in a mental hospital and asks him to leave Buddy alone. When Walter learns that the investigator was a commander in the Navy, the investigator understands what happened to his friends and asks him to be a hero like his team. Walter gets angry when he remembers what happened to his team and leaves Buddy, firing at the police. At that moment, Buddy is hit in the shoulder, and the police return fire at Walter. During this, Buddy is wounded. The police kill Walter, and Buddy is taken to the hospital. When he wakes up, he sees his wife and daughter. Lisa asks Buddy if they can live together again. Fancy is sentenced to prison for kidnapping children, and we learn that she did this because she couldn't conceive. And that's where the story ends. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel.